This is a story of healing, a story of a girl who teaches a lesson to the world that although this life can be very difficult, we have to live and make a way, not only for ourselves, but for others. Denise tells her story so that others may know that there is life beyond abuse. Hey, I'm Rene, but you can call me Blade, and this is the Oh My God show. And today we are going to be interviewing the beautiful, inspiring Deniese Dennis Erksman. And yes, I have a little bit of an intro here. I don't want to just let it pass by because Denise is just an inspiration. And I'm just not just saying it to flatter you, Denise, but that's how I felt when I heard your story. You are just a product of what God can do. You know what? And as bad as life can get, God can do better. So Deniese Dennis is a Jamaican. She has lived in Barbados, Montserrat, France, and now resides in Uganda. She is a wife, mother, author, social worker, and model. She authors several children's books, including Mimi and Nanny and Lucas's Special Blanket. But today we are here to talk about her book that is called Love Yourself Beyond the Scars of Childhood Sexual Abuse. And there is just so much questions that I have. There's so much things that I could talk about, so many, good points that I've gotten from this book, so many lessons that I have gotten. And I just told Denise that I read it twice. And it's such an easy read. And before I can't work off scripting. I'm trying to be scripted, but my brain decided to just tell me things. But anyway,
go with the flow.
Yeah. And I just feel like, I had to read it twice. And the first time I read it, it was so easy. I literally just stayed up the whole night and read it. Did I tell you that? Like, I didn't ever stop until I don't read it, and I from her story. And I want to say something before I continue because it's kind of like addressing the elephant in the room. And I know that a lot of people, they don't like to hear these sad stories. I just wanted to say that for those who might start listening to us and be afraid to continue to listen to us because they're like, oh my gosh, another horror story. And I don't want to be, afraid, or I am sad, or I know someone who has been abused, or I have been abused and I don't want to go down that road. And I've said to myself and to even people who have this kind of reservation for reading the story, and one of the things that I always say to them is that imagine that you are afraid to listen to, you are afraid to read what someone had to live. You understand? Yeah. So I don't know if it will help you, I can say I don't want to hear the sad story, but someone has lived it, someone is living it. And we are doing this interview, obviously, not for Denise. Denise is okay. God has helped her in so many ways. She's here. She's beautiful. She's still standing, irrespective of the challenges that she has had to face. But someone else who might not have been able to find the strength that Denise has found. And Denise, one of the things I like about her book as well is that it is very practical. Like, she's not just telling you to forgive and move on, and she's not just telling you, she's explaining specific things that she did to get by. Remember, guys, to get a copy of the book, because we're not going to tell you every single word in the book. So anyway, so make sure you get a copy. Denise, I don't want to forget to promote it. You have to get it's available on Amazon.
Rene, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy and so excited to be here and to share with you and to your followers about my book. As you said, you have met people who are maybe afraid or reluctant to read the book, and I can understand that. And I think they don't need to be, because one of my aim when writing this book was that I didn't want to just tell another sad story. I didn't want it to just be about recalling all the things I've been through, but rather this book focuses on my healing, and it focuses on sharing some of the practical things that really help that process. So this book is actually me looking back and saying, if I were to meet Denise 10 years ago, how could I help Denise, and how could I speed up that healing process and give her something that she needed then to help her to overcome the things that she has been through. And that is what this book focuses on, the things that actually helped, and how hopefully somebody else reading this book can actually find a way forward, or be introduced to just a few things that they can do. It's just a start in the process and the journey of healing.
And in your case, you still wanted to be somebody, so to speak, even though you went through all of that. What motivated you to want better for yourself? What motivated you to not want to be defined by the things that happened to you? You spoke of the people, the men especially in your community, that thought that you should be Guinea. You remember that expression in Jamaica? You should be free for all because you went through this thing. You should,
they look at me.
you should feel privileged
That
because
kind of attitude. Well, looking back at it now, I can say that the greater your pain, the greater your destiny. But I think back then I still had the struggle, the low self-esteem, and feeling that this was my worth, to be used and to be abused, and believing all those lies that I was never going to be anything and that I was no good. And it was so many things, but the bottom line is that I have to say it's God. It's God. And when God has a great destiny for you, the devil will always try to destroy you. But the thing is, whatever he uses to destroy you, God will always use it to fulfill your purpose and your destiny. And it will only make you that much greater. And for me, I felt that deep down, I always knew that God had a plan for my life. And I felt that God was always with me. He was always talking to me, always showing me things in the dreams that I would one day be standing in front of a large crowd of women, ministering and talking and traveling the world. And I just always had this inside me that, no, God has a purpose. One day I'm going to be great. One day I'm going to travel the world. One day I'm going to be somebody. And there was always this desire to prove that I can be whatever I set my mind to be, And I had to come to the decision, because I remember feeling so inadequate and feeling like I was just a failure. And I remember thinking that what happened to me had destroyed my life, right? And it had destroyed my past. And my present was a total mess. And sometimes because of even my own actions. But I had to make a decision that, do I want this to also be my future? Do I want to allow this person, do I want to allow these experiences to forever destroy whatever potential I had? And I made the choice that no, my dad did not deserve to also destroy my future. Whoever hurt me did not also deserve to destroy what potential I had. And to be a success and to make sure that did not happen was totally up to me. So I felt it started with a choice to not allow what happened in the past to dictate what would happen in my future.
Your abuse started at the age of 3. And I put myself in the position, I think my earliest memory, I don't know if I don't, but my earliest memory is 5. So you remembered being 3 and you remembered what happened.
Yes, I remember my first day of basic school. And I remember that it started maybe just around the summer before school started. And based on my calculations, it would have been just around the time also my parents got separated and all that started. So sometimes your memory might not be 100% accurate, but what I can tell you is that my abuse is my very first memory. I can't remember anything before that. It's the very first memory in my mind. And I remember starting basic school after.
I think that the main thing that we want to get to is how you came out of it, how you how you pulled yourself through. As I said, you had that in your mind, even growing up, becoming a teenager, and realizing what has happened to you, knowing that it was horrible, accepting the fact that it has affected you negatively in some ways, but deciding to pull forward. And I'm just going to pinpoint some areas in your book that I made a note of, and I would just like to, get your response. Now, this is the first memory of me crying when I read your book. Maybe because I think that why, and I'm not a crier. I'm not a crier. I prefer get vexed than cry. Just like most Jamaicans, we prefer get vexed than born. Some of us, even if you can't relate to abuse, I think a lot of us can relate to being wronged. And that is why I would recommend your book, even to people who haven't been abused. We know what it is like to feel stabbed in the back by a friend, by a loved one. And most of the time, those hurt the most. And most of the time, it's the people who are close to us that have that right or get that right, or what do you call it, permission. Because I'm sure more than likely your parents would never just leave you to any random neighbor house anyhow, or any random far cousin's house, but they would trust you with the uncle or the friend or your best friend or the police officer or the judge or the lawyer or the doctor or the nice, one of the things you said, your father was a nice man to a lot of people. He took care of his family, brought stuff for you guys, and people on the outside would not have, considered him as such a horrible person. And But this part, it says that my sister, and I'm quoting, my sister told me that she wouldn't let him kill both of us and devised a plan for my escape. She managed to get the back door open and told me to run and not come back. I could hear her screaming as I ran from the house. And as I ran, I thought it was the last day that I would see her. And I had a visual. I had a visual your sisters have for each other. Again, is on a different level. That's you need a whole nother book for that one. Sorry. But literally that run, Forest run experience, that Denny's run for your life, and the fact that your sister chose you again over herself, and also I'm thinking why both of you couldn't escape or whatever it is, but then again you guys were both kids, so she thought if anyone, maybe both of us can't escape this, but you have to. Oh my god, I don't care, I'm gonna cry if I want to cry, I don't care, I told you to bring tissue. But that scene, that was what got me when I read your book. I see her choosing you. I see her, at least in her little mind, she knew that there is an escape path. And even if both of us can't make it out, Denise has to make it up. And look at God. Didn't you make it? Didn't you make it out? Anyway, tell me about that day. If you
don't make me cry. That day was one of the most difficult days, I think. I might have been around 12. I was in first form of high school.
And your sister,
in all honesty, she was 2 years older.
Oh, that's why she felt the need to protect you. Yeah,
she was about 13. And I think we had reached a point where, because my father abused her as well, we had reached a point where we had stopped confiding in each other about it and stuff. And then she had recently found out that this was still happening, and to me as well. And so
so wait a minute, not to cut you, but so there's a part of her that think that at that moment, because it's not there, that yes, she knew that he was also molesting you, but there was a part of her that thought that maybe he had stopped abusing you.
Yes.
And even though her abuse
he was just molesting her.
Yeah.
So she wasn't aware that I was still having those experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah. So now she's like, okay, abusing me is one thing. It's already horrible, but not Denise.
Yes, I think so. And I had reached a point where it was really affecting me, because I remember how she had found out that it was happening. A morning I was getting ready for school, and I think I just became overwhelmed and fainted. And then that was when she and I had that conversation, and I was telling her that he was still doing those things to me. But leaving that house that morning, I honestly felt that I was never going to see my sister again. I had in my mind so many horrible pictures of what he might do to her. And I just didn't know what to do. I went to school and I sat in my class. I sat in my chair all day until school was finished, and I didn't know how to get up out of my chair to leave school. I didn't know what to do. And I think my teacher was in the classroom because she had finished teaching and she was doing something, and she was wondering, everybody had left and Denise was still sitting at her desk, staring into space. What's wrong? And I felt like, I always had this fear about talking about it, because then that would give him the permission to actually kill us and do something really horrible. But in my mind that day, I was saying, well, he has already killed my sister. I can't let him get away with it. So I have to say something.
So while you were at school, sorry to make it clear, while you were at school, you couldn't get up everything. You thought, because he had always threatened to kill both of you if you said anything. So when you,
yes.
And also now she's in trouble because she allowed you to escape.
Yes.
So now while you were at school, when you said you thought you would never see her again, you thought he killed her.
Yes, I thought it was the end of everything. I thought he had killed her. I thought he would surely find me and kill me. So many things were going through my mind. I told the teacher that that was happening and stuff like that. She was a young teacher. I don't think she knew exactly what to do, and she was very overwhelmed with the information, I think. She persuaded me to go back home, which was a bit scary to think of. But, she was saying, okay, go back home, pretend like you didn't tell anybody, pretend like everything was okay. And then tomorrow when you come to school, we will figure it out. So I honestly went back home that evening. I don't know how I did it, but I went back home, and my sister was not dead. She was there, but a little beaten up, a little swollen face. He had physically beaten her and stuff like that. So I don't think we slept that night. I think we were so afraid and so anxious. We were just waiting for morning to come and for us to go to school, and to hopefully somebody will come to help us the next day. I remember being called to the guidance counselor's office, and but the thing is, because even while writing my book and talking back to the social worker who actually showed up that day, what their understanding of the situation was and my understanding were two different things, because I thought that the social worker who showed up knew that I was being molested. And in her report to me, she said she was not aware of that. Because my father, what he did, he went to the social work office before to complain that my sister was running away from home and not coming home. So he basically went, tried to be the first and to paint a picture of a concerned father whose children were going out of the way. And my sister, which was true, sometimes my sister wasn't coming home from school, but that was because she was trying to get away from him and the situation. So I guess she said she showed up because of that intervention that my dad asked her to be a part of. But in my mind, I thought it was because of what I had told my teacher. So there was some miscommunication and some confusion. And I think in my mind, the way the case was handled going forward, I was thinking, because there were even instances when the social worker had meetings between myself and my dad, and I just couldn't understand why she was putting me through all this and why she was, sometimes treated me like the criminal or giving my dad so much leeway and having us in the same space constantly and all those things. But I think it was because of that misconception and because it wasn't communicated and the question wasn't asked of me actually what has been happening and what I was going through. And I wasn't a very verbal person, I guess because of all those things. So there was a lot of misunderstanding and that caused the abuse to continue. So even though I was like moved from my father's house to stay with other people, my father would always find me and the abuse will always continue. And I think it was because maybe those persons who were handling our case did not know the full length or the full story. The social worker, nobody spoke explicitly about my abuse. It was always like in code or, not because of what you've been through, you can be something or you put the past behind you, but it wasn't said. It wasn't said like, okay, did your dad have sex with you? Or, okay, it was, people don't talk about it in the plain terms that you can understand. So it was never clearly discussed.
My father said that no one will believe this nonsense that you are writing. And this nonsense is a book where you detailed the abuse, you spoke about it, you spoke about how you eventually got through and how you are able to assist others or to give them the strength to speak up and all of that. So people, based on what you're telling me, even with your experience with your teacher, I mean, she's an adult. And somehow, even if she was a young adult, I'm sure she's old enough to understand certain things. So some people, I think, choose not to believe it because the thing is, if they believe, if they accept it, then guess what's going to happen? They're going to be morally obligated to do something about it. And lots of people don't want to do something about it. They don't want to get themselves in hot water and they don't want to step on anybody's car. And especially, as I say, if that person is considered to be, outstanding citizen, or in your case, he went and said, so basically maybe these girls are bad, they're getting into trouble. And, in our culture, a good beating sometimes is not considered a bad thing. So the beating is not because of you trying to run away or trying to tell on him or whatever it is, but it's because you're bad or you probably want to be out doing something and this is your father correcting you. And maybe a lot of them were conflicted in that. And again, as you said, because nobody wanted to just come out and just say, call a spade and say what was happening to you. And I think they kind of tiptoed around it maybe so that they wouldn't have to do it. But what made you still push through and say, you know what, even if it seems as if they're not understanding what I'm going through and everything, but you still kept going to the point where you got some amount of justice?
Just to clarify, then when I was writing, I was always writing journals. I used to have these notebooks that I would document my thoughts and the things that were happening to me. And it was one of those notebooks that my dad found then when I was a child, that he was saying, nobody will believe these things that I'm writing, stuff like that. But I continued to write because writing was my release, Writing was my way to cope. And to me, my pen and my paper were a listening ear that I didn't have, I could say exactly what was happening as explicitly as I wanted. And, you didn't have that avenue to express yourself and to get things out. And in the end, I continued to write because I needed to. I think God placed that desire to write and to express in me for a reason. And in the end, this was what brought me justice because it was one of my books that this police officer found and that she read and that she discovered exactly what was happening. And she chose to believe me and she chose to do something about it.
Guess what is my next question about that police officer? And you know why? Because, I know it's not just a Jamaican thing, but we're Jamaicans, both of us are Jamaicans, and we're writing about something that happened in Jamaica. And we can insert maybe every country into this. Coming from this same Jamaica, coming from this same police force, because you spoke again about the other police, the male police officer who was aggressive towards you. But this lady is like, she was going, I think, above and beyond the call of duty. She was using her intuition. She was probably using her instinct. I don't know, her experience. I would say God really just used that woman, if I if I want to just get religious here. But like, how she even know to take the book from you, because she took the book.
Rene, I can call her name. I'm gonna call her name because she was just this National Heroes Day awarded
Oh
in
gosh.
Jamaica for her service. Her name is Chairmaine Shand. I'm sure everybody knows her. She's now a senior superintendent of police, I think, and she's in charge of the Center for Investigation into Sexual Abuse and stuff like that. Forgive me for not calling it properly, but she heads that Center for Investigation into Sexual Offences and Child Abuse. So I think she had a natural talent for it, and she had a genuine interest in me and concern, because honestly, my father had beaten me very badly that morning. And I was sitting there with an arm that was swollen and black and blue. I don't want to cry, but it was swollen and black and blue. And this man was there, being so rough and aggressive. And I was sincerely in so much pain, and nobody was paying attention to that. But she came in and she was so concerned that nobody had seen it fit to take this little girl to the doctor in the first place. Like, look at her arm. Now you have her sitting here questioning her, but she has not been seen by a medical person. Look at her arm, So she was the one. And even though I wasn't very verbal and answering the question, she was like, let me see your book. And honestly, I only had that one book in my bag because I wasn't very interested in learning. I just wanted, school was just an escape for me. And mostly I was just writing in my books when I'm at school. And so she took the book and she actually began to read. And she took me to the hospital to get medical attention. She got the doctors to do an examination and to confirm all the things she suspected. And she was like, I am going to arrest your father. And even though I was like, no, because he would kill me. And I was terrified as to what the consequences would be for her doing that. But she was like, no, he's not going to get away with this. We are going to do something about it. So I think all the praise belongs to her for doing her job properly. And even after graduating university, I got a chance to work with her. And she has maintained that same level of commitment and passion for her work. And I've had so many experiences with police officers, and I can tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I can vouch for her that she's really such a genuine person and somebody who's making a difference and has made a difference in a lot of people's lives in this area.
Wow, I am so proud of her because even though what you wrote, but I felt the profoundness of what she did, because I know that again, we're in a culture where nobody wants to do anything and you can just do the minimum. And I've worked with government before, like, I mean, I used to do my job well and go above and beyond, just so you people know, but I used to work with the government in Jamaica before, and I know how it is, like, government job, which probably why in any country, people sometimes, even though government job might not be the most, highest paying job, but the stability that comes with it. And we all know that government don't just get up every day and fire people like that. So a lot of us just do the bare minimum, a little bit lower the minimum, and you're still gonna get paid. People might push out more. Denise not doing our job, but yet at the end of the day, you're not going to get fired. So when you see a Jamaican and a Jamaican police officer actually doing her job, actually going above and beyond, and I'm glad that this is a part of the interview, and I'm glad that this is a part of your story, because we're talking about such horrible things, and we are still seeing that there are still good people around.
I wouldn't be here if there weren't good people around. Oh my God, my story is testament to the wonderful people who exist.
So a big shout out to that police officer. Like, And it gives me a lot of hope in our Jamaican police force. And also, I am impressed also by the fact that she was recognized, because that's the other thing where you know how often nobody see what you're doing. Nobody no business. Everybody collect a paycheck on the party on Friday. I really pray and hope that it spreads, because I have been helped. As I said, I look and I see that police lady, and I like her, and I'm happy that she helped, and I see the effort, and you're telling me even more details, and I'm like, thank you, ma'am, wherever you are right now. Thank you. Still in Jamaica, doing good. Continue. Sometimes it's just a telephone call. A lot of us as people, and I think as Jamaicans, think that, oh, because I don't have any money to help. I always tell my friends, it's not just money. Sometimes make a phone call. Maybe double check a fact. And the fact that she was able to even use her sense. Okay, the procedure says the child come in, she has a problem, you wait here, she's going to be questioned by this officer. But in this case, this child is wounded. This child is physically hurt. Why not deal with that and then continue with our protocol of questioning and whatever? So, yeah, sometimes we just have to think outside the box. Sometimes we just have to be the change that we want to see. Now, I know that some people are going to hear us, laughing and we're talking and we all right, and you're just glowing with beauty and poise and grace and everything. Say I'm not lying. I'm a good Christian. I'm not lying. And people might say, many people always ask this question. In fact, I was introduced to a book many years ago. It's called Where is God When It Hurts, written by, is it Joni Eareckson Tada, I think, yeah. But that question is a question that many people ask. I guess that's why they turned that into a book. Where is God when it hurts? And then the next question is, how can he stand by in your case and watch such horrible things being done? At 3 years old, we call you a baby. And while you think about it, I'm just going to read something in your book that just answered that question for me, because I know you're a woman of faith. You believe in Jesus Christ. You believe in the fact that, you've been through something, but you don't have to let it keep you down. And you said in your book, and that kind of answered the question, but I'm still going to let you elaborate on it. It says that God has given man choice. And as long as there is choice, some will choose the darkness. What made you not choose the darkness?
I can say I've been in the darkness too. I don't think I totally escaped the darkness. For such a long time, Rene, I was so angry. I was angry with God, even. And I think in my teenage years, because I grew up in the church, that was one of the reasons why I stopped going to church, because I was asking God those same questions. Why? Because I know you're all powerful. You could have just raised a finger, to stop what was happening to me. And why aren't you healing me? Why am I suffering so much? Why am I hurting so much? Why can't I move on with my life? So anger was something that lived with me, that it was like this undercurrent under a very still river that runs very deep. So I know what it is to be angry, and to be angry with God, and to ask God those questions. Why? But as I said, I've come to realize that with great destiny comes great pain, and also the choice, because it was my father's choice to do those things. It was his choice to molest me. It wasn't anything, and then again, it wasn't anything I had done. So you talk about the self-blame and all those things too. But yes, I've been in the darkness. I've been angry. I've been depressed. I've been all of those things. But I realized that with choice, even though there is choice, and even though some will choose the darkness, that is why there is grace, That is why there is healing. And that counteracts the plan of the enemy to destroy us with these kinds of actions, because his plan was to to wipe me out a long time ago. But the grace of God, and if we can accept that love that God has, you know, and that forgiveness, and that have that mercy, not just for ourselves, but for others, I think then the victory can be ours.
Mm. Some people say that the reason why some women are raped or abused is because they're dressed provocatively or whatever it is. And one of the questions you just shatter that stupid idea by saying that what can the body of a hoe can you at 3 years old attract someone, but you still pushed through, you still made it to university, you still survived and became a wife, a mother, all of these things. And you can still sit here and say that that person chose the darkness. God didn't choose for him to be dark. And also, I have a choice not to choose the darkness. You could have murdered him. You know, you could have become somebody else. You
Literally.
I know. Don't you think? I know. I learned for this.
God is so good, Rene. You know? God is so good.
And then probably we'll be doing this interview behind bars, eh?
Yes.
You know,
don't even want to go down that road.
I know, and you chose something, but as I said, I could go into more and more details of the horrible stuff and the bad things, and you going through all this trauma. We're just going to mention them, but we're not going to go into details, you know, from the psych ward to suicidal to practically almost failing out of UE, because, you know, when you were failing statistics, for example, and all the stuff that happened to you. But one of the things that you said that took you through was prayer and fasting. So if you want to elaborate on that, like that is the main thing, and doing practical things to actually bring yourself out of that darkness. And I'm happy that you said that you went, it's not like you magically just woke up miraculously, magically, and you're well and stuff, but you went through, you will literally walk through the darkness and into the light based on the stuff that you detailed in the book. So for those who are listening now, and we can be smiling, and Denise is smiling at points and everything, but it wasn't always like that for her. And she went through her days and she went through everything. So if you're going through the same thing, know that you are able to come out on the other side. So if you were making a parting, you know, or just having a conversation with someone who's been through similar things that you've been through, and it's like a one-on-one, just like how we're having a one-on-one, how would you encourage that girl or that boy, because it's not always the girl who's being abused. So what would you say to those people in encouraging them not to choose the darkness? Because we could picture some dark things that we could do in these situations. You know, we can picture some dark things that people have done in this situation. And you chose a different path, not because that path was easy, because it wasn't easy for you. Based on what you've said, it is not easy still at some points, is it? And you still continue to say, I am going to be somebody at all costs. I cannot be defined by this abuse. I'm not going to stay here. I might cry here, but I will not die here, kind of thing.
I think the first thing I would say, and I think I've said it before, is that because you have been abused and your past has been painful, and your present might be a mess, you might not be able to move forward or to get over the pain. I believe that your future does not have to be like that. And you can make the choice. You have the power to make that choice, to say, what do I want for myself? Because I honestly, personally, I had to decide. I remember being in that psych ward and I'm saying, I am not going to come here again. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to be depressed for the rest of my life. I'm not going to allow what my dad did to destroy my future. And that is a choice I had to make every day. And I'm still making that choice, you understand? Mm-hmm. So you can make that choice. And if you make that choice, you can get the help that you need. Because I think also sometimes we feel that this pain is so horrible. It's hard to imagine that you can share it. It's hard to imagine that there is help, but there is. And I would encourage, I'm always championing getting counseling, seeking justice and stuff like that. Don't go through it alone. Find help. There is so much help. Like in Jamaica now, I'm always watching this organization, For Life, and I thank God that these kind of organizations exist now in Jamaica. There is help. So get the help you need. Make the choice every day to fight for yourself, to fight for your future. And also, I mentioned the fact that prayer, God became such a personal friend. Like maybe people would see me on campus walking and talking like a madman and a mad woman, because that was how I was. I had to talk to God. I had to take him with me through every step. And I found this scripture that it really became my anchor during my university years, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And somehow that scripture got hold of my heart, It really went somewhere deep inside me that it became what carried me through every difficult moment, through the times when I felt like I couldn't do an assignment, through the post-traumatic stress disorder and everything. I was saying, I can do this. Not because of my strength, because my strength was totally gone, but I felt that God could give me the strength I need to carry on, and he did.
Okay, thank you so much.
Maybe I could sum it up a bit more. I would say, make the choice to fight for you because you deserve it, You deserve a happy life. You deserve a bright future. God made you with a divine and important purpose to impact the world. And so you made that choice to fight for that purpose and that destiny that is yours and that God created you for. And every day you fight for it, you get help. There's no shame in getting help. I went through years of counseling. So get help and make the choice. And I believe that with God and with practical help, you can move forward.
Oh gosh, I don't know. We so end the thing, but each time you speak, but this is the last thing that I'm gonna say. I love what you said a while ago. You said, as it relates to you going back to the psych ward, you said, I am not going to come here again. Again, mind blown. You told yourself that I needed help. I have gotten it, but I won't spend the rest of my life in this same hole. I'm crawling out. And that's what you did. And you believe in prayer, you believe in God, but you also use the resources that God even has allowed through good people, the organizations. You went, we're Jamaicans.
I can tell you, Rene, that the University of the West Indies clinic, the student clinic, they have psychosocial support. There's a mental health clinic. And I was there every Thursday throughout my university years.
Imagine.
Get the help you need. Yes,
and again, it's not a big deal. I think if we're Americans, but we are Jamaicans. So, it's not even you. It can't be you. It must be God who has helped you, because again, you went. You didn't care. Then go say, I'm at people clinic. She go every Thursday or whatever it was like. And see, you went for those years during university, and now you don't need to go there anymore. Maybe as a counselor or to help someone else. But during that period that you needed the help, you understood that you needed the help. And you went there. Yeah. And of course, you got to the point where you realized that, listen, I can't become dependent on these medicines or these doctors or these people. But during the time when you needed to, you got the help. During the time when you needed to tell someone, you told someone. During the time when you needed to grieve about it, you grieved about it. And you went through all of the steps, which is really incredible, because most times people don't, maybe why a lot of people don't get the healing that they need, because I feel bad that someone will see me trying to get help, and maybe it's for a mental health issue that has probably nothing to do with abuse, but I don't want anybody to see me at the Mad People Clinic, or I don't want anybody to know that this has happened to me. But sometimes I say at the same time, everybody see you going down a desperate spiral into destruction. Yeah. And that in itself tells them that something is wrong with you. So either ways, it's either they know and you get help, or they know and you don't get help. So the choice is yours. And that thing that I think you should make it a slogan that says, I am not going to come here again. I'm not going to come here to this place where I feel sorry for myself again. I'm not going to come to this place where I feel like I am useless because I was abused. I'm not going to come to this place where I feel like there is no help for me simply because the one or two people in front of me are not helping me, because there's lots of people down the road who are willing to die for me, who are willing, like your sister, she was willing to die in your place, you know? So we dwell sometimes on the people who are so bad and who are so cruel and who are so wicked. And we don't see the good people that are there. We don't see the help that is being lined up for you. And you were literally, have you ever, I'm not a game person, but you know those games where you just keep grabbing the power along the way? I feel like that's what you were doing. Like, okay, I could get counseling and it will help me. Okay, I'm going to go to university and I will pass. And your father said that you would never be anything without him. Look at you now, sister. Clap for yourself.
And I made it through university with no money, right? I made it through high school without money because they were good people, because of scholarships, because there were
and you're
so
a
many
baby
people
genius.
who
Yes,
showed
let's
up
just
for
throw that
me.
in there.
I tell you.
And again, when you're hurt, I know, like, sometimes you just don't trust people, because you already have that, that little wall, that's big wall that's up. So it takes, again, another process for you to have gone through all of that and to say, you know what, I'm going to get help from these people. And I'm so happy that you were able to get the assistance that you needed. And I'm happy that you were able to find the strength and the courage. I know that you too have had to relive the memory each time you have to write and rewrite the book and everything. It could not have been an easy task, and not an easy task, because the more now people start reading your book, more people will ask more questions, more deep questions, all sorts of stuff. And maybe, again, pulling on a memory that you even might have suppressed and everything. And I'm sure that that no, people will know what happened to you. And some of these people will still judge, and some of these people will still have bad things to say. And you have decided to put all that on the table so that maybe a sister or a cousin or a friend or a stranger is going to be listening to us. They will know that, there is healing if you want it, if you choose that. I don't have to choose the darkness, and I don't have to come here anymore, and I don't have to accept defeat, but I can move on. I stay inspired by your story, and I thank you for for being on this channel.
Thank you so much for having me, Rene. It's been really a pleasure to be here. And I think this is such an important topic to talk about. Might be an uncomfortable one, but it is so necessary. And I want anybody who has gone through this and who is going through this to know that you don't have to be silent, and you don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to be afraid to look at yourself in the mirror, because whatever happened to you or whatever is happening to you is not your fault. You're not to blame. And you are somebody who is beautiful, somebody who is loved by a wonderful God, and a God who is here for you and ready to help you to heal and to become all that He has made you to be, So I know that self-love is a big issue when you go through these things, but I've learned to look at myself through the eyes of God and to unlearn all those lies and things I've believed about myself over the years, and to know that I'm worthy of being happy.
Thank you so much, Denise. Thank you. Thank you so much. That even
guys, go out and buy the book, please.
Listen, that's why I told them from day one, because I am just keeping my mouth shut, because there's so much, like, I learned so much, honestly. Please, guys, it's on Amazon. I'm going to leave the link in the description of this video as well. And thank you so much for tuning to another of my videos, my channel. And guys, subscribe, please. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts, and take care. Bye, Denise. It is so lovely.
Bye. Take care. Thank you.
See you next time.